This is Kat Klingensmith with Retro Crime. This episode is about Lena Trappin, the 75-year-old alleged murderess. On the evening of May 2nd, 1957, 65-year-old Sicilian immigrant Joseph Mancuso was watching TV with his wife in his living room. They lived in Monongahela, Pennsylvania, and he had been there since 1913. In Palermo, Sicily, he had trained as a carpenter, but when he immigrated to the United States, he transferred those skills into shoemaking and became a well-known, respected cobbler. At 10:30 p.m., he and his wife were watching the end of a championship fight. He got up, told her not to change the channel because he would be right back. Those were his last words to her. In the early morning hours, his body was spotted in his backyard, and it was clear that he had been dragged from the steps of his neighbor's house. His neighbor was Lena Trappin, a 75-year-old widow and fellow Sicilian immigrant. Her husband had died of cirrhosis of the liver 6 years prior, and she had lived alone ever since. Being elderly, she went to bed early, but Joseph's time of death was around 1:30 a.m. This murder case was puzzling. When Joseph was found, he still had the belt around his neck. His head was lacerated, and it was suspected that he hadn't died until he was in the yard. His pants were pulled down, 3 buttons were torn off of his shirt, 1 was torn off of his underwear, and he was only wearing 1 sock and 1 shoe. The rest of his stuff had been thrown out of the upstairs bedroom window. His shirt buttons were found on the bedroom floor, and the underwear button was on the kitchen floor. There was blood on the refrigerator where his head had been bumped while being dragged outside. All evidence pointed to Lena Trappin being the murderer. Despite being 75, she was compact and sturdy and weighed about 200 pounds. She was the oldest woman charged with murder in Pennsylvania. The record was beaten in the 1980s by a 76-year-old woman who shot her husband. Lena had lived in the United States for over 50 years, yet she claimed that she spoke no English, and an interpreter was needed. When asked about the blood in the kitchen that matched Joseph's blood type, Lena said it was tomato paste. An FBI forensic technician assessed that a hair sample found on Joseph belonged to Lena, and a hair of his had been found in her bedroom. Lena's explanation was none. She repeated her story of not knowing anything and said that she was asleep during the time of the incident. Lena and Joseph had been neighbors for 35 years without any animosity or problems between them. No motive could be found. Joseph had come over often before her husband passed away, but since then, according to her, she waved to him in the yard occasionally, but otherwise they had nothing to do with each other. The prosecution didn't press hard. For example, when it was explained how the blood in the kitchen wasn't tomato paste, Lena Trappin changed her story and said that she cut her finger on a can of tomato paste, and the prosecution let that go. Her defense attorney asked that the charges be dropped due to lack of evidence. The judge turned him down. Then on the last day of the trial, the judge suddenly changed his mind. He ordered the jury to return a verdict of not guilty. He cited lack of evidence and believed that Lena certainly knew about the crime and that the police should investigate further. 25 days after Joseph Mancuso's death, his wife Carmela died from coronary heart disease. Her health had been declining for a while, and this finally broke her heart. The mystery remains. Who killed Joseph Mancuso? Let's look into why he was killed. Well, why do people kill? They kill for jealousy, revenge, fear, greed, and anger. Now, what was Joseph doing right before he was killed? He was in Lena's bedroom in stages of being undressed. We can throw out jealousy. Lena didn't become jealous of Joseph's wife after decades, and she could have killed his wife and had him all to herself if she really wanted to. Revenge, that's far-fetched. They were both from Sicily, but an old score would have been settled a long time ago. He didn't kill her husband or anything. Cirrhosis did that. Fear? Lena and Joseph were friends for so long, I don't think she was afraid of him. Greed can be ruled out because Joseph's money was still in his pocket. Angered? The person who did this was furious and became violent. So we have anger. Why would Lena be angry? Because he woke her up? Did he come over to try to rape her but didn't get as far as taking his other shoe off? No, I don't think so. Also, we can rule Lena out. She was a 75-year-old woman. This was her longtime friend. He had a key to his shop there. The person who did this didn't have any friendly affection toward him. Joseph was just the trash that needed to be taken out. Now, who could have such animosity toward the friendly town cobbler? No one, so it wasn't against Joseph personally. It must have been for Lena's sake. Ah, here it is. Lena's son Frank lived down the street. Someone was protecting his mother. He stopped by his mama's, heard a man's voice, and walked in on something no one should ever see: their mother in bed with a guy. Like a good Sicilian boy, Frank saw his mother as an angel, so obviously she must have been violated. Joseph, he wasn't getting undressed, he was getting dressed. They were already done. He still had to put his sock and shoe and then his belt on last. Some people take their belts off when they get undressed. I don't know why, some don't. Anyway, Frank grabbed Joseph violently by the back of his shirt, and the buttons on the front flew off. He picked up the sock and shoe, threw them out the open window, then picked up the belt, used it to choke him. He dragged what he thought was an old pervert out of the house using the belt as a leash, smashing Joseph's head against stuff. Joseph's pants came down because he didn't have a belt on. The floor pulled them down and pulled off an underwear button, too, because he was on his stomach. Then the poor man was dumped outside without any dignity. Lena and Joseph were both lonely people. Her husband was dead, and his wife had been too sick for too long. Joseph was popping by for a quick romp before bedtime, which is why he expected to be right back. His time of death indicates that it took him a few hours to die after being thrown outside. Frankie probably told Lena not to do anything, and she didn't. Obviously, she knew something but said nothing because she was protecting someone. Mothers protect their children. So parents, may this be a lesson to always lock your door.